Hello friends, followers and channel members, welcome back to the channel. And the results from the annual Navigraph survey for the flight simulator community have now been released. In our video today we are going to, as quickly as possible, sum up what is going on in the world of flight simulation based on the latest survey results. But one of the main points to take away from all of this is it seems that people are flying more often and for longer, which is absolutely great for our flight sim community. But what are they flying, where are they flying, and how are they flying? Well, let's have a look at this year's winners and what comes out on top. But first of all, I just want to go back to the fact that more people seem to be flying and for longer. In fact, there's actually been an increase in people doing longer haul flights. When you think about it, perhaps now with a lot of people working at home for their day jobs, it means they might be able to set up a cheeky flight in the morning, let the sim run on a nice long haul and then land it after work. So that might be a potential reason why more people are now enjoying flights that last for longer. And of course, we've also had an influx of longer haul aircraft, things like the PMDG 777, which was released for Flight Sim 2020, and more recently we've also had the Fenix A320, so really good high quality payware aircraft for the long haulers. Now, on almost every live stream we do, I always get asked the question, which simulator is the best? And there's always a bit of banter in the chat, depending on each person's individual preference. However, it seems that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is still the platform that 52% of users who participated in the survey are still using. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 came out at 25%. Below that, there were still things like X-Plane 12, X-Plane 11, and even a few people still using Lockheed Martin's P3D. Now, even though around only 25% of people's surveys are using Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 as their main simulator, 58% of people have reported using the new sim at least once. However, the fact that that number is more than double the amount of people who then stuck with Flight Sim 2024 tends to show us that people have tried Flight Sim 24 and have reverted back to Flight Sim 2020 as they are not ready to make the jump permanent. This is a story we hear on the channel all the time. And when asked what are your reasons for not moving to Flight Sim 2024, responses came back including things like air traffic control, the backwards compatibility of add-ons, sceneries, aircraft, the various missions, how stable the simulator is, and the weather radar. So now is a great time for me to ask you, which do you fly, 2020 or 2024? If you've tried 2024, what didn't you like and what do you need to be able to make that jump? Love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below and I'll look forward to reading those. Now, the survey also asked people what they thought was the best flight simulator product to be released within the last 12 months. Now, this could be anything. It could be the simulator itself, scenery, aircraft, anything like that. And it seems that the Fenix A320 family of aircraft topped the billing here, followed very closely by the release, of course, of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Tailing behind that is the PMDG 777, followed by the Fenix A350, the FlyByWire A380, and then the release of Winwing hardware, scooping nearly 5% of the votes for that question. Now, even though the Fenix A320 family, the narrow bodies came out on top, long-haul flights and wide-body flights have increased according to the survey, with wide-body flying going up by 7%. Now, before we go any further, I also want to give a little bit of background as to the demographics that took part in this survey and the location in the world where they are based. So 32% of people taking this survey were actually based in the USA. Followed behind then was Germany, nearly 18% of people there, and then following behind that the United Kingdom, Canada, France, and then plenty of other European countries. Now, most people flying in their simulators are not using VR. In fact, overall, only a very small proportion of people use VR with their flights. When it comes to flight planning and charts, then SimBrief has come out as one of the strong contenders, as you would imagine, for general flight planning, and with charts, Navigraph taking the top spot. And whilst flying time is up generally, most people are using that time to fly IFR flights. And this has actually increased quite a lot compared to last year's survey. One of the possible reasons for this is because of the many different versions of air traffic control we've now got. Most people opting not to use the default air traffic control, but obviously we have the online networks like VATSIM, which is still the most popular online network. But coming out just behind that is BeyondATC, a program we featured here on the channel, and I know many of you out there are using and enjoying. Now, as previously mentioned, wide-body flying has increased, but the most popular kind of aircraft is the narrow-body commercial airliners. Up to 75% of people currently flying those. And that was backed up by the most popular Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft add-ons, with the Fenix A320 family coming out on top. That was followed closely by PMDG's 737 range, PMDG's 777, and then in fourth place was the inner-built Airbus A350. Interestingly enough, the inner-built Airbus A320X is still holding a place in this list as well, and that was actually the same as the Airbus A380X, also by FlyByWire, holding a 13.7% result. And I'll be honest, I was actually really surprised to see the FlyByWire's A380 not pushing higher on this list, as it was a aircraft that so many people were waiting for. But I suppose I'm guilty of it myself because I've flown it a few times, but it's certainly not my main aircraft. So then, where are people flying and what do people look for when picking flights? It seems that scenery is the top of the list for all of you, wanting good scenery to enjoy whilst you're taking to the skies. Also, after that came realism and real-world routes, as well as then followed closely by geographic preferences, interesting places and terrain. And then, of course, down to geography. Where in the world do you typically fly? Well, 76% of people said Europe. Europe seems to be the capital of the flight simulation world, of course, followed by North America at 61%. Considering that most people in this survey were actually from the USA, I found that statistic quite interesting and also quite heartwarming, being from the UK myself. Now, I've already mentioned that VATSIM came out on top with regards to air traffic control and online networks, but what about real-world traffic models and model matching? Well, it seems that FSLTL, the FS Live Traffic Liveries, they've come out overall on top of any other traffic add-ons that you can get. And in terms of where are most people purchasing their add-ons, the inner-built store has come out on top, followed closely by SimMarket and then the marketplace. If you are in the market for payware, add-ons and scenery, don't forget to check out the Contrail store, which we've got our discount code for on screen, and of course the inner-built store if you are shopping there. Link in the video description below. Using that link also does help support the channel, so thank you to everyone who uses that. Now, one thing before I go, something that piqued my interest a little bit when reading the results, and that was how many people who participated in the survey have ever attended one of the Flight Simulator Expos, either the one in Las Vegas or the Netherlands or any of the others that take place in the USA, Switzerland, Germany, for example. And it seems that 90% of people have not visited a Flight Sim Expo. Now, I'm not going to blame anybody for this because, do you know what? I haven't either, and the main reason for that is because sadly I just don't think that there are enough of them. Flight simulation is certainly growing, particularly since the original release of Flight Sim 2020, which brought the world of flight simulation into sort of the mainstream gaming platform, and it's something that I'd love to see more of. We used to have a UK Flight Sim Expo, sadly that doesn't happen anymore, but what do you think? Let me know. If there was one more local to you, would you attend? Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you found the results interesting. Anything that's piqued your interest, let me know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have enjoyed the video, then please don't forget to leave a like. It really does help the channel, those likes, so thank you for that. And of course, if you're new to the channel and enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss any of our future videos and of course live stream flights. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all again in the next one. Bye bye for now.